Hello everybody, my name is Dratnos and welcome to my boss spotlight for Rezan in Atal'Dazar. This is a new type of video where we're going to go over a boss and all of the intricacies that I can think of it. Every boss in Mythic Plus basically has a ton of different weird things that people have discovered, and I'm going to share those things with you in the form of these videos. So let me know in the comments if you like this type of video, I can keep making them, which specific bosses you'd like to see, or if you don't like it, let me know as well and then I can do other videos instead. Let's start by talking about all the boss abilities in this fight. One of the big abilities is actually the piles of bones throughout the room. So these are pretty visible. If you or Rezan stand on top of them, they will turn into a raptor that will start attacking you. This is usually not good to do. You want to avoid it as much as possible. It's not the end of the world if it happens, and some specs are actually pretty happy to have a target to like multi-dot or cleave off of. It can increase their single target damage. Notable specs that do that are like Outlaw Rogue, Elemental Shaman. Those are specs that gain a lot of single target damage from having an extra target in there. Shadow Priest also. So that can be worth doing. Generally, though, it's best to avoid activating as many of these piles of bones as possible. When you do stand on them yourself, you'll get a nasty slow. It's like 90% that decays slowly over a couple seconds. So that can be a big problem as well if you're trying to kite Rezan, if you have the pursuit, and make sure you don't stand on a pile of bones while doing that. But your tank is often taking a lot of damage on this fight in a high key, so extra raptors reanimated can be a big problem. All right, let's talk about pursuit. One of the least understood things about the Rezan fight is how he decides who to pursue. So the way it works is that if there are at least two people outside of melee range of Rezan, then the boss will pursue one of them, chosen at random, so any of the people at range chosen at random. But if there's only one or zero people at range, then he will choose anybody chosen at random. So you need to make sure that there are at least two people who are away from Rezan if you would like pursuit to target one of them. If you only have one person out at range, it might still target one of the people in melee. The diagram shown here for pursuit is a common strategy for it, where the healer, could be any class, I've just chosen orange, entirely at random, is out at range. And the Outlaw Rogue also steps out of range of the boss for a little second. And that's when the boss then chooses who to pursue between the Outlaw Rogue and the healer out there. The rest of the group in green is right under the boss. Then, if the healer is targeted, the healer will just run the boss away. But if the rogue is targeted, then the rogue can vanish. And Vanish, Feign Death, or Shadow Meld all work to stop pursuit from targeting you. Shadow Meld is a little bit weird. Shadow Meld is bugged on this fight, where if anybody in the group Shadow Melds while Rezan is pursuing, even if Rezan is pursuing somebody else, Rezan will then stop his pursuit. So that's a very powerful thing to have if you have Night Elves in your group. You can basically remove the pursuit ability from the game. Just one person Shadow Melds, anybody Shadow Melds anytime, and it will stop. There are a couple of other weird things with Pursuit. Pursuit is a 15-second debuff on the person, and Rezan will chase that player for 13 of those seconds. For the last 2 seconds, Rezan will get a little confused and will go back, will run towards their threat target. If they get in melee range of the person with the pursuit debuff in that time, they will still eat that person. So that's something you have to be very careful of. Even after Rezan stops running at you, they might still eat you. And notably, if their pursuit target is the tank, then that can be very dangerous because they'll continue to run at the tank at Rezan's increased speed, right? Towards the end in those last 2 seconds. One way to play around this is with a taunt. If somebody other than the pursuit target taunts Rezan, then Rezan will no longer eat somebody in those last 2 seconds. So as long as that taunt debuff is on Rezan from somebody else, those last 2 seconds of pursuit are then safe. So if the tank is the person who's kiting Rezan, then a healer or DPS should taunt for the last 2 seconds, and the tank should again taunt back as soon as their debuff falls. If a DPS is being pursued, then the tank should just taunt in the last 2 seconds, and then the DPS can safely get in melee again. Worst case, Pursuit can be immuned with any kind of physical immunity. Notably, Bop is something that you can cast on somebody else in the group who gets it, so that can be a really useful thing to do as well. Okay, let's talk about Terrifying Roar. Terrifying Roar is a fear that the boss casts. It is line of sightable, however. There are 2 main places where the boss is usually tanked. Here, next to one of these little pillar things, and then either of the green triangles are safe spots from the fear, or next to the stairs, and then either side of the stairs are safe spots from the fear as well. It's worth noting that these are on the right side of Rezan's room as you look at it from the entrance of the dungeon. Do not try and use the pillars on the left side of the room. Those are not actually line of sight. You will get feared if you try and use those as safe spots. You can, however, use the stairs on the left. Those do still work. The entire group also doesn't need to line the fear. The healer can line and single dispel one person who stands out, and that person can therefore do a little bit more damage. So, some your demon hunters in their cooldowns or whatever, they can be out there blade dancing away, and then as soon as they get feared, the healer can instantly dispel them. You can even use Tremor Totem. If a shaman is in your group, you can tremor every other fear, so that's pretty good. And you can use Mass Dispel as well. So what you can even do is you can have your whole group stand out over here, and your priest can stand back over here and channel a Mass Dispel to end right as the fear goes out and Mass Dispel the entire group that way. So that can be a useful way to edge out a little bit of extra damage. Not really necessary. Generally, the best thing to do is to just get in those safe spots. Also worth noting, since it's a fear, it is immunable by various effects that immune fears, notably like Warrior's Berserker Rage. Okay, let's talk about Rezan's tank bleed mechanic. So this is going to be once every cycle. So a cycle is like tank bleed, fear, pursuit. The boss will do one tank bleed basically per fear and pursuit that he does. So this tank bleed hurts quite a bit. It's been buffed numerically a couple of patches ago, and it increases all physical damage taken by the tank while they have the bleed on them. So this is really worrying if you're fighting raptors or any other trash with the boss, because those trash mobs will do increased damage to the tank as well during that time. If you're fighting raptors or trash at the same time as Rezan, this is a really good time to like stun them. You know, if your rogue between the eyes is them, or your paladin Hammer of Justice is them for the 6 seconds, that will cover almost the whole bleed, and that will do a really good job of reducing the incoming damage on your tank. This is the most likely time for your tank to die, especially if they're not playing something like Brewmaster or Prot Warrior that's immune to physical damage. It can do a lot of damage to other tank specs. One thing to note as well is that Blessing and Protection does remove it, so if you are a paladin tank, or if you're playing with a paladin in your group, you can have them Blessing and Protection you, and then you can cancel it to make it so you keep tanking the boss, but you actually remove that bleed from yourself. Speaking of pulling trash with Rezan, there are common strategies these days that involve these 2 Skyscreamers over on the left being pulled down with Rezan. The way this usually works is that once the boss is stable and you're done, you're feeling okay, somebody will run up and grab one of these Skyscreamers, pull it down to the boss, interrupt it maybe, and then you'll just kill it, you'll cleave it down with Rezan, and then you can go up and grab the other Skyscreamer. Sometimes there's also a Tide's Emissary there, and you can pull that down and do it the same thing with that. Again, be careful if the tank bleed is out at the same time as these, that's a good time to CC them. Now you do have to be careful as you run to grab these that you don't reset the boss. If Rezan or any of the raptors get on the staircase at all, if they cross this red line, the boss will reset. So you have to be really, really careful, especially like if the tank is running away from the pursuit and you accidentally activate another pile of raptors and that raptor starts chasing somebody else and that person is going to try and get trash, the raptor might just touch those steps and reset the entire boss. So you have to be really, really careful of that. And finally, there is one weird snap spot on this fight. This is not the good kind of snap spot. This is a bad snap spot. If you are the threat target of Rezan, or if you're being pursued by Rezan, and you go stand in the middle of that waterfall there that's circled, the boss will teleport you to him, which can be really bad if you're being pursued. You will immediately get devoured, and that is not good. So be careful of that waterfall there. And really, just the edges of the water against the wall in general, those are scary places to be. I hope you've enjoyed this boss spotlight. Let me know what you thought of it. I can make more of them, or I can stop making them, whatever you guys decide. So you be the judge. If you did enjoy it as well, like and subscribe. I'd appreciate it. Check out my Twitch stream, twitch.tv/Dratnos. Thanks everybody for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.